Good evening, Cubers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and tonight, guys, we're going to get to our guest of honor in a moment. But first, as I like to do, my co-host is none other than Digger Jim himself. Jim, thank you for being here for me, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love that
And
opening music. I'm just like,
right, something's got to get you going, Jim. And our guest of honor, who I've been really excited to get on the show because I'm a big horror guy. He's a big horror guy. We both like old black and white magazines, which are a lost art form these days. And Dope Comics, how you doing tonight, sir?
What is going on? I'm a lot better now. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Now, as I like to do, we're going to say hi to the audience in a second. But first, give us a little rundown. Who is Dope Comics and what is your YouTube channel about, sir?
Dope Comics. I try to do a couple of videos a week. It's mainly show and tell or unboxings. It's just me going through my collection and what I picked up at the LCS. And it's all pretty much horror. Could be anything from modern to 70s DC to 80s indie. I love like Twisted Tales and stuff from Pacific Comics. And that's what I started out with. And of course, you go down that rabbit hole and then you start getting into the big money. You start getting into all the golden age and the pre-code horror and all that stuff. So that's mainly what I try. My channel is basically about bringing awareness to pre-code horror because even when I started, I didn't know it existed. And so how can you want something if you don't know it existed? So
right.
Yeah. When people see a lot of this stuff, they're like, wow, I want to copy that now. So
right. It blows your mind. You're like, holy cow, they made this?
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. You know, a lot of this pre-code horror, you get something like Amazing Spider-Man 300 and there's 30,000 on the census, or you get something like Hulk 181 and there's 15,000. A lot of these books I have in pre-code horror are under 10. So,
right.
You know, you people don't know they exist, you know, so.
But once they do, it costs them some money.
Yeah, because some of this stuff I looked 2 or 3 years just for a copy, and the only reason I even knew it existed because I looked through old books and I see them on Heritage and they're super expensive, and you just gotta save it under your eBay searches and start the hunt. And they pop up when you're flat broke. That's the way it always works.
Absolutely.
Right.
But you bite the bullet and you make it work because you might not see another one for another 6 years. So you better get it if you want it, you know?
There's always more blood to give, right? Dope.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's not about the grade. I love to get them graded because they're preserved. And then second, you get a blue label so you know it's complete. Because a lot of these old books, you don't know if they came with a centerfold or what. So, you know, the grade, it ain't about the grade. If you can get a 4.0 and a lot of this stuff, it's a really good grade, you know. So
especially pre-code that old.
Oh yeah. I've got a couple of pre-codes that are in the 9s, but for the most part, you're going to get them in 4s, 3.5s, 1.8s, and you're happy with it. You're just happy to have a copy because there's only 10 out there.
Right. You know? And to have it complete.
Yeah. And I've turned into that grumpy old man, but I used to be like, none of these old gray-haired men are letting these books go. And they're just going in a black hole somewhere, and I'm never going to have one. And now that's me. I just hang on to them too. So you know, I've never sold a book in my life. It ain't about money.
Yeah. Became the person you were complaining about, huh?
I've turned into them. Yeah. And I tell you the reason I love books, I knew I love books because I'm one of the only people I know. If the prices went down of all my books, I'd be happy and buy more. You know, a lot of people would be mad. They'd be like, well, crap, I just lost all my money. But I don't collect books for money. So, you know.
It's always good to have a fellow reader on.
I love reading everything.
Let's say hi to the chat real quick, and then we'll get into your first book, sir. So the first one in tonight. Good evening, Nicholas. Happy to have you, sir. Nick from One Shot Comics. Jerry the Jitterbug. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. We have Carrie in the chat. Nice to see you, Carrie. She was just on the 10-1 a few nights ago. Ignacio, how are you, sir? Roger, always great to have you, buddy. Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, sir. Brother John Comics. We may know that guy. Good evening, Brother John. How are you, sir? And good to see you on the horizontal screen. You got Roger saying good things about you. Dope has some of the funniest comments on YouTube. Must watch. You have Psychedelic saying horror got me into comics back in the day. Gore Vidal. Evening, sir. Nice to have you, sir. And you have Carrie sometimes about just having the ruby in the rough.
Yeah.
True enough. All right. So without further ado, Dope, let's get to your first book and hear why it's one of your favorites.
Well, all righty. tonight I'm mainly going to show pre-code horror. Big shocker, right? I've always grown up loving stuff older than me. Even when I collected cards as a kid or whatever, I wanted stuff old.
Right.
And I'm just attracted to older books and the history of them. And, books, especially pre-code horror, they don't exist. The reason they don't exist is because, back in the day, it was the main form of media. Between that and like even had adults reading like newspapers, reading the comic strips, and you got all the stuff going on and it goes all the way up to 55. 55 is pre-code horror when it ended. But this first one I'm going to show is International Comics number 4, and it's from 1947, and it's one of the most important horror comics of all time in pre-code. And the reason that is because this is international. Right here it's EC Comics, which is Educational Comics, is what that stands for. And this is the very first pre-code horror EC comic. And what happened is you got Max Gaines that runs the company, and he dies, and his son takes over the company, and he wanted to start doing horror comics. Right. This was Educational Comics, and Educational Comics just made literature for Christian literature. They made stuff for schools. They made stuff.
A little bit of a turnaround, huh?
Yeah. And when the son took over, he wanted to do crime and suspense. He wanted to do horror. He wanted to do all kinds of stuff, but he was afraid to put it under the EC label. So he invented International Comics, and he tested the water with these 5 issues. And each issue was dedicated to a different kind. There's one for crime. This was the horror one, number 4.
Now, does it say who did the artist on that cover?
This one here, let's see. Lee Batchelor. I don't know who that is. Mm. But anyway, they put this book out there, and nobody caused the stink, and it wasn't an uproar, and they were happy with sales. So they went on their journey, and they started making, tales, all the cool stuff, Tales from the Crypt. They started making Vault of Horror. They started making crime suspense, all because this one did well. But
nice. So really important book.
Yeah. So this was 1947. This is the very first EC horror book, and there's 11 on the census.
Wow.
So, of course, it's got a clown on it. Ugh,
yeah.
I hate clowns.
That's something else to think about. How many books a year do you think how many books a year do you think CGC grades?
Oh, it's got to be like by the tens of thousands.
Yeah. And CGC has been around since 2000, and they've only graded 11 of these. So that equals out to about 1 every 2 years they see.
Yeah.
So they hardly ever see any of these books. So I was happy to find that.
And a good grade too. 4.5 is really good for that.
Yeah, 4.5. They're pretty
Now,
rare.
did you send that in, or was that already you bought it?
I've never sent in any books. I don't even know how to do that. I just buy them already slabbed.
Nice.
And I'm happy to have them raw. If I can find old books like this raw, I'll take them any way I can get them.
Right.
So, but this brings me insurance. If I see the blue, I'm happy because I know it's complete. I really don't care about the grade. But this is the one that started it all for EC. So
nice.
Happy to have that.
That is awesome, and that's the first time I've ever seen that book.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know about International Comics. They know about what started the pre-code with Tales from the Crypt stuff, but they don't know about the old International books.
Right.
So
see, I didn't. Now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I figured that's the one you had to have.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's a good start. All right.
Yeah.
Number 2, sir. Let's see what you got.
So once you had EC, it was up and running. The closer you got to 54, the crazier the books got, because you always had to outdo yourself. You start out with monsters, and then like, well, that ain't shocking enough. Let's do some, murder. Let's do some hangings. Let's start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, here's the closer you get to 54. So this is from 1953. This is Shock and Suspense number 6, and you got the classic clan beating a girl with a whip.
Oh yeah.
So, your kid could bring something like this and an RC and a baby roof for under $1 and bring it home every day. So I could see why the Comic Code Authority was invented.
Yeah.
But it was just crazy times back then.
Well, fantastic art on the cover. And man, how do you not love that trade dress?
I know. I kind of, that draws me more than anything. It's just crazy.
The trade dress is incredible.
You know why the trade dress was like that?
Why?
Because back in the day when you went by, the streets and they had the people out there, the books would be stacked like this in rows.
Right.
You could actually, how they're in rows, and they'd block each other out. So
had to get the attention.
Yeah, because this was all you'd see of each book because there's another book in front of it, and another book, and another book.
Right.
So, but yeah, these back in the day, you got to remember you had book burnings, you had paper drives. These things are 70-something years old. You had moss, you got moisture, you got house fires.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many of these out here. So if you can find them in any grade, you're happy to have them. Yeah. So
that is incredible.
Yeah. They're all about 70 years old. So now we're getting into 1954. We're getting closer to craziness, So now they're chopping up people, putting them in a.
Oh man!
Yeah,
wow!
And this one's a 2.5, and they're very brutal covers back then that your kid could just go and pick up.
Right. I mean, if you're a kid, that's drawing you in instantly.
Oh yeah, because this is your main form of media. There wasn't no radio, there wasn't no TV. They would trade these around. Everybody would read them. Your parents would see these, and this is the first thing they're burning when it comes to a book drive. So they'll let you keep your Superman, but they're going to burn these up.
But look at how incredible the art is, the presentation, the angles.
Yeah.
I mean, everything on that
shadows
is so
on the bathtub.
Cool.
So no, he's right though. That would have been the first thing trash for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what year is that one?
This one here is not. This one's a 954. So you got the psychotic guy with that axe, But this was just a different time. And back then, these books, a lot of them were based on a true story, and there's so much dialogue in these compared to new books.
Now, do you have any of those Slab and Raw, so you got to read them as well?
I've read the reprints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You go buy the cheaper ones, they come out. But then, these old ones, I usually buy these the way they are. But I've got a bunch that are raw. I'd rather pick them up raw because they're a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But
right.
You're taking a chance then because they're harder to sell too. If something ever happened to me, that's something else good about these books. I like them graded because my wife, there's no arguing about what the grade is if she ever wants to sell them, and she could probably sell them easier graded than she could if they're raw.
Sure.
Right. They have a determined value associated with the grade that can't be debated really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So for my fourth book, I got one more EC, and this one's from 54. And can you imagine your kid bringing this one home?
Oh,
this book's all about suicide. So
now,
this is, I don't know why kids would want to, if I was a little kid, I would be into this kind of stuff because I grew up, everybody else was watching, Spider-Man and Friends, and I was like Scooby-Doo. And then,
same here. Johnny Quest. I've loved horror my entire life.
Yeah. And then whenever I was 10, Lost Boys came out, and just watched it over and over and over.
And it's funny too because I would watch horror and my parents wouldn't be able to watch it. They'd have to go. They're like, "How do you watch it?" I'm like, "I love it."
Yeah, Monster Squad was out in '87. Yep. I loved it.
So good. Army of Darkness. I mean, the first Evil Dead. I used to watch that. I mean, I still watch it. And the series was so good. Too bad it didn't. Oh, the series.
Friday the 13th. I loved all those. I loved all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I loved everything.
Hold that up again.
Yeah. Now, I have a question about that.
Oh, yeah, you go first, Jim.
Well, maybe this is the same thing. When did those three ladies come on to the scene?
I was going to say, when did the circles start coming on the cover?
Yeah,
the very beginning. That's like your narrators. That's your vault keeper, your crypt keeper, and your old witch.
Okay.
And they told the stories in the books.
I got you. So they were like helping to narrate.
There's multiple stories in these books.
Right.
My favorite part of the art, for some reason, I like the shadow, and that's like a bell tower, and he's hung himself on the church bell. So,
yeah. And
you can tell his neck's broke because it's all sideways. So they're really
fairly certain my parents would have been thumbs down on me having these.
They'd have been all about the book burnings, wouldn't it?
Well, they would have definitely
wouldn't have cared. They would have like, all right, as long as you're enjoying it.
we'd rather you read Superman or somebody like that.
And another thing with these books, a lot of this kind of paper back in the day was used for insulation between studs when they were building houses.
Sure.
They would just crumble up newspapers or these books and just crumble them up and use them for, so you might be able to buy an old house from the 50s or 40s and have some of these in the walls.
That's crazy.
Well, they found this amazing, what was it? Action 1 in a wall of a house. Really? Yeah. You never had a story and it got torn in half because they're fighting over it. So
no, I never heard that.
Yeah, there's an Action 1, a famous Action 1, and the back cover got torn because 2 people were fighting over it. And they found it in the wall of an old house. But anyway, that's 4. And that is all the EC books I was going to show. I just wanted you to get a feel of how gruesome they were up to, 54.
Right, back in the day.
Yeah, and that's why the book burnings were going on in the Christian community and all that. And I don't
Roger
know.
says his parents were a hard no on horror.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that John and I wouldn't have been able to get a lot of those.
Can you see that? They would go around neighborhoods with their trucks and just fill up trucks with old horror books.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For book
what a
burning.
shame.
And there they are in the community burning all of them.
What a shame. All that great reading.
And here they are lighting them all up. And this was all over the United States. Churches would do it. Political figures would do it. Everybody burn all of these horror books.
Now, you know what that makes me think, though, is how many of those got held like by people who were putting on the facade of wanting to burn this stuff, but were taking copies home to read for themselves.
Yeah.
You know that was happening.
Yeah, there was some double standards there for sure.
Film. Don't look in my car.
Yeah.
But I zoom in on them pictures all the time, and you can see like the actual titles and some of the books I have in there. And that's why there's so many more Superman or Batman, though, and stuff than there is that kind of stuff, because it just got all burned up and people were embarrassed to have it or didn't want to be caught with it in their house. Or
oh man, I wouldn't even put it down. I'd have it all the time on me.
Yeah. Back then you were, it was bad. I mean, but now great stuff. So, but next I want to show you, I got some of my favorite artists I want to show next.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
This right here is the only thing that's not pre-code horror. It's more 70s. I got 3 artists I really love, and I know y'all know this guy. He's Bernie Wrightson. The thing about Bernie Wrightson, besides he's a great artist, most people have never seen these before, but there's 4 of them. I have all 4 of them. And you had to go to the con and meet Bernie at his table to pick these up. But they're all autographed by Bernie.
Wow.
They're his artwork. And all 4 of mine are autographed. And
do you have them all available to show us?
Yeah. Like you see all of them. I got them all. But the cool part about them is when you open them up, he did one every year. And they're like,
wow.
Yeah. What a master.
Look at the detail in that.
Incredible.
And he came out one of these for every con or every year or every time he did one. Mm-hmm. There's 4 of them. And they're just his artwork. And I love looking at it. And you can get them autographed or not autographed. And sometimes you can find them on eBay. Look at that werewolf.
Yeah, I love werewolves. They're my favorite.
Well, this book here is dedicated to werewolves. Every one of them's got a theme.
Man.
Incredible.
And he had such imagination, the detail.
Yeah, because when I think horror back then, too, I think of him. I think of Mike Plug, who was doing some cool stuff.
Here's my favorite picture in it, and it's not even a werewolf, but look at that Frankenstein.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So, dope. Did you ever see that Bernie Wrightson picture when it's the dude in his laboratory, and it's just
the Frankenstein hardback book. Yeah,
you can look at that forever and find stuff in it.
Yeah, but this is Creature Featured 3. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've studied that picture numerous times.
What a piece of art that picture is.
Here's Creature Featured 1.
Wow.
Here is 2. It was all dragons, and this one's autographed across the bottom. Some of them have this line. Some of them's autographed on the top page, but
I like the dragons.
This whole book's dragons.
Just the detail on the texture of the skin work and stuff is amazing.
Right.
And here's the last one, Creature Featured 4. It's all zombies.
Ooh, I even like that one.
This one was 03 when he did this piece of artwork.
Now imagine the time it takes him just for each picture with all the shading and in so much detail.
Man.
Oh, look at you, certificate of authenticity and everything.
But all these are Bernie, and if most people don't know these exist, they love Bernie Wrightson, and then they see these, are like, wow, I didn't know these exist. But you can find them. I wouldn't mind having them not autographed and just looking at them for days, So
right, the art is incredible.
Yeah, there's 4 of them, and the first one's the only one that's not got any numeral numbers on it, because I guess he thought he was only going to do one.
Right.
And he ended up doing multiple ones, but this is the first one. People always ask me what, but yeah, if you ever look for these, you can find them. Check them out.
I'm gonna have to look for them. Creature features.
And you could only get those at the con.
That's what I heard. I have no idea. I heard they were at his table.
Yeah,
and you can get them signed or you can get them unsigned.
Right. That makes sense because when we went to Richmond,
they got a little line where you sign them.
Yeah, Mike Grell had the same thing. He had a book of his art, and I ended up. It was only one copy left, and I said I want it. And I didn't even care how much it was. I wanted him to sign it. I wanted it because I love his artwork. There you go. The world of Wrightson.
But yeah, if you love Bernie's my number 3 on my artist list. So
okay.
Oh. Yeah, that good and still number 3, huh?
Yeah. My number 1's next. You don't see my number 1?
Let's do it.
My number 1, and I think this is book now 6. I love Maurice Whitman. He's the best, in my opinion, at doing detailed horror and then doing good girl art. And he's always good at making good girl art look real innocent. But this is one of my favorite covers of all time. This is Ghost Comics number 4. And Ghost Comics is my favorite run of all time. And
why is that? Just love the stories, or the stories and the art together?
Every cover he does in this run is amazing. But this one here is morbid. This girl here she's thinking about committing suicide. She's up on this roof. All the demons are pointing down at the ground, telling her to jump.
Wow.
And then if you look the way the book's angled, if you set it the way it's supposed to go, she's already really fallen off the house.
Okay.
So this is The Mad Flurries, it's called, and another book about suicide. So, I could see why back in the day, this is from 52. And Maurice Whitman cover. The girls always look real innocent, and look how detailed like these.
Well, everything's detailed. It looks amazing. Like even the billowing of the skirt.
Yeah. So, and all the women always look innocent and afraid. He does such a good job of blending the two. Because most people can either do good girl art or they can do horror real well, but he does a good job of doing both.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've never seen that book ever.
Yeah,
Ghost Comics.
It's a 6-book.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if I ever see any Ghost Comics, I'm going to grab them now.
He does all the Ghost Comics. He did the Jumbo Comics. He did Jungle Comics. He did Fight Comics. He did Planet Comics. All the Fiction House stuff Maurice Whitman was doing. So
amazing.
So
I'm going to write that down because that's someone I wasn't familiar with. So
Maurice Whitman. Yeah, he died in the early 80s. And then my other favorite, now Maurice Whitman, he's known, like I said, for his detailed artwork and his good girl stuff. I've got a bunch of his books around here if y'all want to see some more. But the other one I really like is L.B. Cole, which is known for his colors. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen L.B. Cole, but everything he does looks like a blacklight or like a blacklight poster you'd hang in your room. But
really?
This is Spook number 27 from 1954. And see how it looks like a...
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Looks like it would glow. And if you look at his work real close, like the water, you see this demon in the water here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then up here, you can see a person floating in the water, see their head and their hands.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look up here, here's an old ship, and there's somebody hanging right there from the sails.
Right, I see that.
But you can look at these covers. From far away, though, you don't really see a lot of that. You see a couple heads. But when you zoom in, there's all kinds of stuff to stare at.
Intricate detail, just all sorts of things happening.
And this is called Ship of the Dead. And he did so much good artwork. Have you ever heard of Mask 1 and 2? They're like legendary pre-code horror books. They're the grails. He did the covers of those. But
man, yeah, it just pops. It really pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again with the trade dress looking awesome.
And I'm going to show you one more L.B. Cole just to show you every cover he does is that way.
Is See, I love those old covers. They're so like it takes you longer to look at an old cover than it does to read a modern book.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think, like me and you talked earlier about some of the Conan splash pages, I don't think they had the time they used to have back in the day to do some of this stuff because some of this stuff would take forever to draw.
Yeah, they don't.
Right?
They can't afford it.
Well, a lot of these artists, too, are doing multiple comics in a month.
Right. They can't afford that time-wise. They don't have the time. They can't afford to spend the time doing one huge splash page like that. And they also have different speeds, too, so.
Yeah. And this LB Cole cover here, it's a Blue Bolt number 112, and it's from 52. And you thought the other one popped. Look at this one. So.
Oh, man.
Look at that creature.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I'm like,
he's coming out of the ground. The ground's on fire, and he's coming out of this giant hole like he's a devil.
Yep.
Now, please tell me this is a bonus book and doesn't count as number 7.
We can do this all night. I got boxes and boxes of her. If you want to see somewhere else to go, you just say so. Or Maurice Whitman or any of them. But
that's unbelievable.
Right?
That's only a 2. Is that a 2? Yeah, I can't. That looks way better than a 2.
I love to find them in any shape, but if I can find them, it presents well. As long as the grade meets, the price. And that's another thing I got to tell you about. When you look for a book like this, and it takes you 5-6 years to find a copy, and then you don't know what to pay for it because there's no fair market value. There ain't been one to sell.
Right, there's nothing to compare it against.
Right.
So it's all about what you would pay for it. And there's been times that I'm willing to give thousands for a book, and I get it for like $220 because nobody knew about it.
Right.
And then there's been other times that I think I'm going to get something for $500 and it goes for $2,500. So if you get 2 people wanting the same book that's been looking for it for 6 years, there's going to be a showdown. So, because you don't really know what to pay for it, It's all about what it's worth to you because there hasn't been one sold in so long, a lot of these books. So, but if you look at you can tell LB Cole covers because they're so vibrant,
Yeah, I'm thinking I like him the best. He might be my number 1.
The colors are great.
Yeah,
he's a lot of people's number 1.
Yeah, I think the colors just pop too much for it not to be my number 1, and the detail he puts on it too is pretty. It's just look at that ship in the background. Come on.
And these are 2.0s. I mean, and they're still after 70 years. Look how much color they have. I'd like to see one brand new on the shelf.
Oof.
His work would have just stuck out compared to everybody else's.
No doubt.
If you see, yeah. So these are LB.
Louis.
So them are LB Cole covers. And we're ready for number 9, I guess.
All right, let's have it. This is so much fun. These are incredible dope.
This here is one of my top 5 comics. Pre-code horror comics. None of them other ones are in the top 5, but this one here, I know two existed that I know of. I've got one, and our buddy Roger up here has got the other one, Metarog.
That hoarder Metarog.
Metarog looked for 30 years for his copy, and his buddy was at a flea market, and he caught the corner of it. He could just see the W, and he's like, "What is that book back there behind all them other books?" Metarog got him to pull it out. And it was this right here. It's Witchcraft number 5.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, that's the one that Jerry just worked on for him.
Yeah. This right here. Yeah, it's a Kelly Fleece cover. It's the only cover that Kelly Fleece ever did. Kelly Fleece is mainly known for Star Trek in the 70s. Mm-hmm. But it's a painted cover. You see all the bones down there?
Man.
And the good girl art. I mean, the girls are always beautiful.
Yeah.
The green, I wouldn't have thought green for a horror book, but the green really works for it.
Does in the face and
look at the eyes and everything. Eyes. Yeah, the eyes catch you right away, and I think that goes with the green. Yeah,
and it has some of that Maurice Whitman flavor with the good girl on the cover.
Yeah. And so you got 3 stories in here. You got the Witch of Death, Where Zombies Walk, and you got this one right here about the warlock.
Yeah.
So a lot of these have a lot of heavy reading in them back in the old days, because a lot of them only came out, 6 times a year. Some came out 4 times a year.
There was nothing consistent, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, it'd be like the fall issue, or it'd be like the summer issue.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like the winter issue, celebrating Christmas there with the red and the green.
Yeah. But you wouldn't think the green would work. But I looked forever for a copy of this. Forever. Could not find a copy. So jealous of Metarog's copy. He had a copy, and I just wanted a raw copy, anything I could find. And I get up at 4:30 on Mondays to go to work. And that's the best time to look at eBay because everybody puts stuff on there on Sunday night. And on the West Coast, stuff's only been on there a couple hours.
Right.
And I found some of my best books at 4 o'clock on eBay after my search, after looking for this one. Probably took me 3 or 4 years to find. So I now have a copy of it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, that is amazing. And again, like it has it's like a natural border cover too. You have the art breaking the border, which is just incredible.
They always have the weird backs on them. You can get you
a shop.
Yeah, you can get you a peanut bank.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Well, you keep on collecting, asking if you read it before you sealed it. I think he bought it already graded.
Yeah, I bought these graded, but I've read it. Metarog's read his too.
So, what's your favorite story in that issue?
The stories are not that great.
No?
I think modern reads, and I think the 70s DC reads are really good. But these things are so much dialogue in them. You know, it's even like I've got old Superman over there and Batman single digits, and they're the same way. It's like so much reading.
Was the pacing?
Yeah, it's too much. I don't like a lot, but I also get pissed when I buy books and there's nothing in them to read. It's just like a little word bubble here and there.
Right, it's like 3 minutes later and you're done.
There's an art to it. You need just enough, to want more, but you need a good flow. You know what I mean? Sure. And a good horror books. Some of these are that way. When you turn the page, there's the big surprise. Some of them ruin it by putting it on the bottom panel, and you can see it before you get to it. But I like it when you flip it and it's the big, the big surprise or whatever.
Right.
But the cool part about this book back in the day, it's got a smoking buddy on there. You could get this little doll smoke cigarettes with you.
Yeah. My uncle actually had one of those.
He had the smoking buddy?
He had something like that where the thing would smoke a cigarette with you. It was crazy.
You got that, and you got the doll that pees. So, yeah. There's Metarog saying he likes a certain story in there. He read his once he got it back.
I can just picture the smile on Roger's face as he's thumbing through it. Jerry picked that book up really good for him, and I knew Roger was going to enjoy it when he got it. Well, first, the smell's probably incredible, right? That old book smell.
And it's
you
good
never
for another
replace
70 years.
The book smell.
Yeah. I'm just happy to know it's going to be out there another 70 years now, his book. Right? I mean, they repaired it really well. And now for my 10th book. Ooh. This book is my favorite pre-code horror book of all time. Took me years and years to find. And I think there's something to that when you finally find what you're looking for. And I also like collecting stuff that people just can't get on eBay and find tonight,
Right.
I love Spider-Man 1 or whatever, but there's 30 on eBay right now. You know what I mean? If you want one and you got the money, you can have it. The hardest part is when you got the money and you sit there for years and you're wanting one and you can't find one.
Right.
So this one right here is Beyond One. It's the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen one on eBay. It's made by Ace, which is a rare company anyway. It's a production company called Ace. It's from 1950, and this one's a pedigree. I was looking for a raw copy or anything I could find, and I was happy to find this fancy pedigree when it did pop up. But look at this detail.
Oh wow!
Good Lord!
What a fantastic cover! Man, that kind of takes you right to the movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
His eyes are bloodshot. He's got some nasty old fingernails. He's got the overbite going on. And this one is a pedigree. It's a 6.5. This came from the Krypton pedigree. It's one of the world's largest collections of books. And 2,500 of the books got stolen out of the house. And this is one of the 2,500 that got stolen. And it was missing for years and years and years. And when they got them all back, they made them a pedigree. So,
wow. Oh, is that why it's a green label?
No green label.
I'm colorblind, so
it's a gold label. It's a
gold label.
label.
Oh, yeah, wow, it doesn't look gold to me at all.
Yeah.
That is cool.
It's the pedigree labels that they're gold and black.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a pedigree label before.
I haven't. That's the first one I've ever seen.
Yeah, the pedigree means that it was in a really nice collection.
Yeah.
So Usually they got to be really nice shape and they got to have a story behind them. I know there's multiple pedigrees, but this is.
Man, that looks like it could be like an album cover or something. I don't know why.
It's just phenomenal.
This one's got Master of the I've never read this one, but it's got Master of the Undead in it. I'd like to read that. And other strange stories. So,
and you can see the menace in his eyes,
in
his face.
I freak out every once in a while. My heart rate goes up because I'll be on eBay and I'll see one of these and I'll look at it. It'd be the hardback reprint book.
I got
with all the, because I got it still saved. I'd buy another copy if I could find one. But this is my favorite pre-code horror book.
I can see why. That is incredible. The shirt almost looks real. Look at it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
I'll have to keep my eye out in all these dang flea markets we go to. You never know.
Well, I mean, the black cover, hard to find, and to get a 6.5 in it.
I was just going to say that 6.5 is amazing.
Yeah, it's 72 years old, so,
Wow.
Crazy.
And you got books that were made last week that can't get a 6.5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, paper quality has something to do with that too from back then and what they used too. Just some sturdy stuff.
It's so crazy though to think that they were just making stuff out of trashy paper though, 2 staples, and they didn't mean for it to last,
Right.
And they survived moss, they survived humidity, they survived,
generations.
Everything. Yeah. Generations, paper drives, book burnings, all of it. So
now, before we get to your 11th with a personal story, I do want to know a little bit about how you got into horror.
Like I said, at an early age, I was just attracted to it. I would watch Scooby-Doo where everybody else would watch Spider-Man. I guess, I don't know. I think the fact that nobody, your parents don't want you to watch it, so you're drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the forbidden, right?
I had 2 big sisters, and they would have sleepovers and stuff, and they would get together, and they'd watch horror movies, and they'd be watching, I remember it was like 86, they was watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and you'd have to sneak in there and see it. Right. And then, of course, you can't sleep for the next month. But it was always, I guess, taboo, so I loved it.
Right.
And
see, and I was always drawn to it.
Yeah, and I've always been the weird kid. I've always liked stuff that nobody else likes. If you're into superheroes, I'm into something else. If I like rock music and everybody's listening to something else, and I've always liked weird stuff. The stuff that ain't supposed to be cool, I guess.
Right, but that's what makes it cool.
Yeah. If everybody's walking around with pre-code, it wouldn't be as cool.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Channel 13, Friday night, the classic. So, I don't know about when you were a kid, if you had it in your area, but one of the things I love to do, well, one, I still watch even the new Scooby-Doo movies they put out. I'll still get them and watch them. I'm that guy, right?
Yeah.
But they used to, where I grew up, every Sunday night, I forgot what channel it was now, but they had like a horror movie that they would show. It was like, and it was along the lines of like Elvira or something where, but it would be like it would be a horror feature every Sunday night. It would come on around 3 p.m, and after everything else. But I was always planning, waiting for a horror movie to come on.
I watched Elvira. I loved like Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I watched it every Friday night, 11:30.
In the 90s, they had Tales from the Crypt, and I remember loving watching it with the Crypt Keeper and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They had on TNT, they had Monster Vision. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
And they had another show like you're talking about with Elvira, but I can't remember the guy's name. He's famous. He was married to Angelina Jolie.
Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah, remember he was the host of a horror show. And they showed like real bad B and C movies. And that's the good part about horror. Some of the best movies I like are really bad horror movies.
Right.
You can't write a bad horror movie. A low budget horror movie is great.
It came from beyond or something.
And Creep Show 2 and all that kind of
thanks for the ride, lady.
Lingerie Massacre, all that kind of stuff is great.
Right.
Yeah. So
and I can't hear Tales from the Dark Side without hearing that opening. It had the best theme in the beginning.
when I was small, I watched Twilight Zone with my dad.
Oh,
and I loved it. There's so many good shows on back then that just that kind. I'll tell you what else I like that was scary that most people didn't think was scary. But I remember being a kid being freaked out and have to cut the lights on. I would watch Unsolved Mysteries.
oh.
And you remember that? You remember that host is always walking around with a trench coat on, and he had that
Yeah.
creepy voice.
We're gonna figure this one out. Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all remember that guy? He died. He was kind of like Vincent Price.
Yeah.
He was creepy as hell too. So, but
See,
I love Unsolved Mysteries.
I've always loved horror, but I'm always the guy that doesn't get scared of stuff. Like I will watch anything, and like I started reading Clive Barker when I was 12. That's when I found him, and I've been a Clive Barker fan since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robert Stack. There you go.
Yeah. Robert Stack.
And Psychedelics had Night Gallery and Night Stalker, which were good.
Yeah, Night Stalker was good.
Yeah, Tales from the, and it's funny because I went back and watched some of the Tales from the Dark Side, and like anything, some of them are so like cheesy now, like the Yattering in the Jack, the one based off of Clive Barker. Some of them are kind of dopey and fun, and then some still do hold up. It's really hit or miss.
I remember being a kid and listening to Art Bell. I don't know if y'all know who that is.
I don't actually. Yeah.
It came on the radio, and it was a guy that took like UFO sightings and haunted houses. He took it serious, and he had guests on there would call in every night and tell their ghost stories. And he would treat them like, and some of it was really sounded fake, but it was calls from all over the United States. And you can still listen to Art Bell. His on YouTube, he had a show. He was out in the desert, and you could listen to him. It's called AM in the Desert or something, but they played it all night long, and you could just listen to Art Bell. So if you want to hear some crazy stories about Bigfoot or ghost or alien abduction, you listen to Coast to Coast. That's what it was called with Art Bell.
It's George Norrie. Huh, I don't know him. I don't know him either.
Y'all gonna have to spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah.
I watched the Legion show with you all the time, Derry Jim. Y'all got to get away from all that DC and get into some of this horror stuff.
Get some of that horror stuff.
Yeah, that Sergeant Rock just came out this week. That Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead.
Yeah,
written by Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
That's awesome. You got to get with that.
They didn't have half the books at my store. I got to go tomorrow after, they just got them in late this afternoon. So I was kind of like, I'm just going to go tomorrow. I don't have to work tomorrow. So
have you read Bunny Mask?
I've got a lot of masks. I do all the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
That's a witch.
But there's a comic called Bunny Mask that's really good too. If you like.
Yeah, I've read. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That there is a sand zombie off of an EC comic. That's made by EC Comics.
Were those hard to get too, or?
Huh?
Were those masks hard to get?
They were a limited edition, but you can still find one here and there. This here, y'all were talking about the Sergeant Rock. This is a limited edition one. Well, let's open it live on there and see what our gore cover is.
I'm sure Mom won't have that. They'll just have like the A cover or something like that. That guy doesn't get a lot.
So bad that they had to put it in plastic. So we'll open it live on there and see what we get.
Wow. Right on.
I mean, to me, they're just reader books anyway. I don't care if they're beat up. All right. Yep, that's gory.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
You look here, here's an eyeball.
Yeah.
Them are teeth. You see some teeth sticking out.
Yeah, he's having a bad day.
But yeah, I read modern books. I read any horror I can find.
Right.
So
there you go. You got Carrie saying he has the duffel bag, Sergeant Rock, and now everyone can see what's inside it.
Yeah. So you don't have to go buy it now unless you want one with a hole in the head.
I may have to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So much good stuff. All right, so give us your 11th with a personal story attached.
Well, I collected comics like most people as a kid, and then I got out of it when I discovered girls and playing in rock bands, and comics wasn't cool no more. And then I had kids, and I had to grow up, and I was really in a bad place. I was working from home. This is before COVID. This is probably 2017 or 18. In 2017, 2018, 2019, I didn't see nobody but my 4-year-old kid and my 8-year-old kid. And I just work from home. And, you need some contact with other adults.
Right.
Having conversations with kids all day because they were out for school and stuff in the summer. It just, I needed a hobby. I needed to find something I loved again. Mm-hmm. And one day I went to Walmart and there were about 20 lines in Walmart? And the chances of me getting in the one and only line that had the collectibles, that had the cards, the Pokemon, the comics and everything.
Right.
I went through that line and I remember as a kid, my favorite comic book back then was Hulk 377, the green cover. Where y'all remember that cover where he's it's like lime green? I don't know if you ever seen it. But anyway, so I went through the line and I saw this. And this is a one-shot called Last Call, and it reminded me of my comic book.
Yep, I got that.
So I picked this book up, and I really enjoyed it. And
Dale Kwan. That's Peter David, right?
Yep, Peter David.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a book. It's really a dark book, and it's really everything I was into because here, he's Bruce, and he wants to commit suicide, and he calls the suicide prevention number.
Yeah. I read it. I loved it. Now, see, that I can get behind. I got no problems with that. I loved it. I bought it.
Growing up, I lived in a small town, and growing up, I only had Marvel and DC, and there really wasn't no monster stuff.
Yeah.
And this was the closest a monster you could get. I liked Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I liked Hulk. Mm-hmm. And my Hulk is not the smart Hulk that walks around in a trench coat and has a girlfriend and carries a gun. I hate that one. I like the one that becomes a monster and destroys everything.
Right.
And the fact that this book here, he was calling a suicide line and he was asking for help and he didn't want to become the monster anymore. This started all this again.
Wow.
So, without
right book at the right time, huh?
Well, if the story was sucked, I wouldn't have none of this because I probably wouldn't have got back into comics. But this took me away. I wouldn't have to read
that. I never knew about that book.
Yeah, it's the Last Call.
Good story.
It's a one-shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one-shot. And he hires an assassin at the end of it to shoot him in the head while he's talking on the phone. And if he gives him a thumbs up or thumbs down, determines if he dies or not. So if he don't like what this woman says on the call, he's going to kill himself.
Wow.
And because every time he tried to kill himself by jumping off a building or something, he got excited and turned to the Hulk and he didn't die.
Right. The adrenaline hits and that's all over.
Yeah. So he hired an assassin to get him in. He had him in his crosshairs. And only thing he had to do was kill him. And so it's a one shot, but this started it all for me. And if it wouldn't have been good, I wouldn't have got back into comics and I'd be doing something else right now. I'd probably be playing golf or something. But instead, because a good comic's supposed to take you away. And that's what this did. Sure. It took me away. It gave me something to think about. I was laying in bed at night thinking about. It's kind of like that meme you always see where the guy's sitting there and the woman's over. It's like, I think he's thinking about other women, and the whole time,
comic book.
But this one's special to me. Ain't worth nothing. I love it. Probably the book I kept of any of my books. So,
well, like I said, those are the best books, right? They don't have to have any meaning except personal meaning.
Right.
Yeah. And this one I get out and I try to read once a year. And there ain't many of my books I try to get out and just reread, But yeah. But this is a Walmart book, and so I guess you
after
get
you got that book, how long until you started a YouTube channel?
I started my YouTube channel in February of this year. So I've only been doing YouTube now for 8 months or whatever. I've did 85 videos in about 8 months. So
nice.
I'm putting them about every 3 days. And the goal was to just quit at 100. So I don't know if I'm going to quit at 100 if I'm going to keep making them. But people seem to like them, so I'll probably just keep making them until I get bored. But when I first started, I said I want to make 100 videos. So, but since then, I've met the community. I hang out on Biggie Shaq's show all the time.
Oh, Biggie's awesome.
Yeah.
Metarog. I love Metarog. Do stuff with him and Lady Fantastic. And now I know you guys. And
oh yeah, Caroline
is
I go on the G Spot if you know those guys.
Yep. They're awesome too.
Yeah, so I'm having a good time just making my rounds, and I'll do anybody's show anytime, So
it's so funny because you mentioned Caroline. So I'm gonna announce this here, October 7th. I think it's 7:00. We're gonna do it at night. Caroline, Lady Fantastic.
Oh boy.
Candace and Haley, Shy Comic Girl.
Yeah.
None of those three have ever seen John Carpenter's The Thing. And I'm hosting a first time live reaction party. And we're doing a live show. And they're going to be watching it and live reacting as we watch it. And I'll be bringing the video in and out while we're doing it. It's a show. It's a movie I watch. And I'm not lying to you here, dope. 5-6 times a week. It is my all-time favorite. I can watch John Carpenter's The Thing any day, anytime. Doesn't matter. I can watch it 2-3 times a day. I freaking love that film.
Yeah, me and her live in the same town, so we got the same LCS.
Are you in Caroline?
Yeah, we see each other on Friday evenings. We usually see each other about every Friday evening when we're both up there. So,
and what a great person, right? She's
she's
such a and smart, so much knowledge. Like every time you talk to her, you learn something.
Yeah,
it's great. It's like every time you talk to her, it's an interesting conversation.
Well, my favorite thing about her is she likes different stuff, and I like. So whenever she's digging, if she finds any horror, she just holds it up. It's like, you want this? Do you have this? I ain't got to worry about her stealing my stuff, you know?
No. Yeah.
She's after more Jack Kirby and stuff like that. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she picked up some horror recently. She was sending me some IG pictures.
Yeah. So
all right. So let's get to your spec pick, sir.
Well, my channel is all about unboxings and show and tell and trying to show stuff people's never seen. And there really ain't a lot of spec when you're talking about 7-year-old books. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but I do have one thing that these right here are very underrated and undervalued for the people that can't afford to do the pre-code horror stuff. This is what I started with, and these things are awesome. They're wonderful. This is from 1963. This is Dale the Creature. These Dale books, there's 4 of them. You can get the Creature, you can get Dracula, you can get the Wolfman, you can get the Mummy, and there's actually 5. I got one more. There's somebody else I left out. Frankenstein. But they got these painted covers. They're beautiful books. They're from the 60s. And if you can't get the pre-code horror, get the second best thing. And that's what these are. These are really beautiful books. I used to be able to pick these up for about $20, $25 a piece on eBay, ungraded. I've got 3 or 4 copies of this one. And now they're around 80 to 100. So they've went up some, but they're still not near as high as, your pre-code horror stuff. So
now I got to ask you, because this is a book I found a couple years ago. It's newer. It was made for Universal, but there's an Art Adams Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I've got it.
It's fun. I have it too. It's really cool.
That's my favorite. You remember how I was talking about Monster Squad? He's my favorite one on Monster Squad.
And he was barely in it. I was so mad.
He took one shotgun shell to the chest and he was over with. That fat kid killed him. The rest of them were a fight, but it didn't take much to take him out.
Yeah, and I got both those black and white movies.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on the water, and to me, it was scary just thinking about something coming out of the lagoon like that.
Right. And the cool thing about those that first movie especially is how good the underwater photography was for back then.
Yeah.
I gotta look.
Yeah, that is amazing. I have never seen that cover, and that because I love the Creature from the Black. I'm a sucker for underwater horror.
Let me show you the Dracula. The Dracula is better than that one. The Dracula.
Did you watch the movie Underwater, dope?
It's been a long time since I've seen any of the old black and white Creature movies.
Oh no, this is a newer one.
No, I haven't seen it then. Did it just come out, or when did it come out?
I think 2 years ago now. It's just called Underwater. It bombed at the box office, and I thought it was a decent little horror movie with a little H.P. Lovecraft twist at the end.
This Dracula here is the rarest one. It's the hardest to find, and it's beautiful too.
Oh man!
Wow.
Yeah.
So. See, I was always werewolves over vampires, though.
Yeah.
But that is amazing.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Frazetta stuff where it's the werewolves and vampires fighting on the covers and stuff.
Do you have the werewolf one too?
Yeah, the Wolfman. I got it somewhere around here. It's the one like this ain't as good as the Wolfman. It's like his shadow.
Oh,
Okay.
But the presented ones are over on the floor. I've got boxes and boxes. I don't know if y'all can see. It goes all the way around the way.
Mm.
Well, that's all right. We're gonna have to have you on for a second show.
Then we got guitars all on this side because I play guitar too. So yeah, we can do superheroes. We can do about anything. I've got a ton more pre-code if y'all want to ever do pre-code. So 70s, I love 70s horror. If you ever get into DC, all that stuff's amazing. The weird mysteries.
And I love some of the Marvel one too because they used to adapt some of the Robert E. Howard stories, which I like because people didn't know Robert E. Howard wrote tons of horror.
Yeah, Tomb of Dracula.
I think you and Hoarder's Hide would hit it off. He's always getting horror, and he gets the army ones and.
Yeah, I love all the army stuff, all the Charltons and stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
I got something here that I think you will like. I've got a Conan #1, but then I've got this one too.
I have that too. That's the Italian.
Yeah. I picked this up somewhere, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got that AOK to me from Thorson.
Yeah, that's a cool book.
It is, and you got officially you got Carrie asking you what your favorite guitar is.
I usually play Paul Reed Smith guitars. Custom 22, if you know what that is. It's got 22 frets. It's a Paul Reed Smith guitar. But I love all guitars. I've been playing guitar since I was a little kid. I've worked at music stores my whole life and been playing guitars for a long, long, long time. I used to entertain people. My dad would bring home drunks to my house and wake me up at 2 a.m, and I'd play guitar for them.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the guitar is twice as long as you are.
Yeah. So I've always played guitar. I like playing guitar.
Oh, Cole, you came in late, buddy. We're just getting to the wrap up stage. You got to rewatch it. He showed some incredible books.
Yeah.
You're the Conan expert. Who do you think this autograph is right here?
I don't know, but that's an awesome book.
Yeah, it's Dark Horse. I don't.
It's a beautiful autograph.
It is. I don't know who that is though. Oh, there's a 2018.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something 2018.
But who are the creators on that book?
Yeah, must be one of the creators. Is it Jay something? Well, it's not.
It doesn't look like Paul Lee. It don't like Tim Truman either.
No, it looks like a J. J something. It's definitely, that's the way it goes because 2018's on it. It almost looks like a J Lynn or something.
No, it looks like I would have to, if it's initials, I'd have to guess Joseph Michael Lisner.
Yeah, maybe. It's Lisner, Chris says from Retro Rocket Comics.
Oh, see? There you go. I got it. Because
I'd be happy to come back anytime you wanted me to. So.
Oh, don't worry. We'll have you on.
Yeah.
Because we do lots of stuff, but that was fantastic. Dude, I kid you not, I was so excited about this because I'm a big horror guy, and you don't see a lot of people showing horror books. And,
no.
Do you get the new mags that are out? The Creeps. Well, it's called Shudder now.
I get Shudder.
The Vampirist. Carmilla's great too.
Yeah.
I get both of those. They're incredible.
Let me show you what I get here lately. This is my run from yesterday. I'm reading Devil's Highway. It just came out this week.
Oh, yep.
Sick and Twisted.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
Here's another copy of that. That's the Sergeant Rock we just looked at.
Right.
This right here is a R.L. Stine. It's Stuff of Nightmares. It just came
cool
out.
Cover.
We got Silver Coin, which you read. We got Creep Show. Beautiful book.
That's the book. That's the cover I got of that one too.
And I got this cover too because I couldn't leave it at the store. It's got a bowl full of eyeballs.
Bowl full of eyeballs.
I read Blade in the Dark, which is about a ninja fighting monsters. And Cradle of Filth, which is a bloodbath.
Oh, wow.
And there's another version of that with a black cover.
And I loved last year Midnight Western Theater I liked a lot too.
Yeah, Yeah, I try to read any horror I can find. And right now is the best time of the year, so I try not to overdo it because I know it's going to run out. And in the middle of summer, I'm not going to have hardly any horror to read.
And
I
like
read,
Derek said too, Tubi has a lot of great horror movies on it.
Yeah, I read. I get on Tubi a lot. A lot of that low budget stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so much fun.
I do that, and I do Netflix, and I do Amazon Prime.
You know what's funny is when I went to my LCS.
Gents,
might even
we got to
been
check
last.
on my kid for a second. Jim, can you handle it a moment?
Yeah. And I went to my LCS one time, probably sometime last year, maybe. And sometimes he'll just order stuff just to see, like indie books, just to see if it'll stick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm looking up at the top of the rack up there because he always puts them up at the top. And I'm like, oh, I've got to have this. I don't even know what it is, but the title was called Digger. And I was like, I'm sure it's a horror book, and I don't care because it's got the title Digger. It's got half my name in it. I got to get it. And I read it. It was great. It was about a guy who dug graves. But what would happen is sometimes the people would come back to life, and he was supposed to be there to take them back down. You know, like a spirit would come back and possess the body and be a zombie and whatnot. And he was getting old. And he had this young guy he was training to dig, and he hadn't told him. He would just let him go, and then he would wait for him to wake up. And he went back to see him for something. He'd left something, and the old guy was about to get killed, and he whacked it. You know, I mean, it's like passing the torch. Hey, I'm getting out of the racket, but it's your turn now. And he's like, dude, I just do this for a job. But it was great. I'm trying to get him to find the other copies because I've only got like issue 1, 2, and 3, and I think it's like a 6-issue set.
That's the thing about horror, especially like at my LCS. They'll get issue number 1, and they'll get 5, 6 copies of that because it's going to sell. Right. And then all of a sudden they don't get no 2s.
Right.
And you're like, if you want it, you've got to order it from them because they won't carry the 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. And and the thing about it was I looked for it because I think it was like Source Point or something.
Yeah.
And they could not get it to come up because they have one of those you can set it up on your pull box type thing. And I just couldn't find it. And even the guy that worked there was like, I can't find this. I don't know where this came from. And I don't know how the owner got it, but I don't know. But I'm hoping they have. I'm hoping they have Sergeant Rock still there when I go tomorrow because I'm sure they'll have the A cover.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
ours was sold out completely.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you while we have you though. I need to know what your all-time favorite horror film is.
I got 2. I like Sleepaway Camp. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
A couple times.
And Creepshow 2. The Raft.
The Raft is great.
Yeah, it's so simple and basic, and there's really not even a monster. It looks like a piece of plastic floating in the water.
Right, but it was effective.
Yeah, I love cheap, generic movies like that. Have you seen Sleepaway Camp?
I've never seen that.
But when I was younger.
Yeah, it's got a real crazy ending. So
no, I saw that. I watched it again a couple years ago. Yeah, I don't want to ruin the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it.
The ending makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
I never watched any of the sequels to it though. I only ever saw the first one a couple times.
And the best horror movie I've seen this year is I like the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It just came out. That, and like I said, I like Predator was on Hulu. I like the Batman. This has been a good year for movies.
Yeah.
I like the Resident Evil series that they just did. I thought was good too on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah.
I used to love that video game, so. But yeah, I grew up playing that video game. So
if you like horror video games, you got to play. There's this collection. As soon as I want to tell you about it, I have them all in there. I'm not going to be able to think of it. But I got to play the Quarry. They made that. I haven't got that yet.
I used to play Silent Hill. Did you ever play that?
Yep.
And The Suffering.
I'm gonna have to send it to you because I'm blanking now. But man, the Dark Pictures anthology, such great horror games, and your decisions affect things, and oh, so good, dude. It really engrosses you.
My first horror game I ever played, I remember being a kid and going to our local arcade, and I'd always play. We had a local arcade called the Grasshopper, and I'd play a game called Ghouls and Ghosts. You remember that? You're jumping over tombstones and you're throwing a little,
yeah,
kind of like Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
I've just been attracted to that stuff my whole life. So,
and that's what was good about some of those old Looney Tunes in the afternoon when you get home from school. You have some of them that were like ghost themed and stuff, which were really cool. And they didn't show those ones a lot, but when they showed them, you really liked them. They were fun.
Yeah.
Rafael, how you doing, sir? But wow, that was great, dope. I want to thank you, man. That was those books. I can honestly say I didn't see any of the covers. Amazing.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those.
That's exactly what I go for. I want to show books like that on my channel and give a reason people to watch because, like I said, I'm trying to bring awareness to the pre-code horror. You can't know you want any of that if you didn't know it existed. You know what I
mean?
Right.
And I really didn't show that rare stuff. I just showed some of my favorite stuff. So next time, maybe I'll show you some rare stuff. Now,
do you also read horror novels?
I do not. I need pictures. I do read giant books, though. I just got the I've dove into Man-Thing for some reason, but I'm addicted to Man-Thing now, and I just got the big old trade of Volume 1. It's about this thick, and it's
the Epic Collection, right?
Yeah, and it's all the early magazine stuff with Howard the Duck all the way up through issue 8 of his own self-titled. So I'm just involved in everything Man-Thing now. So
I like that too. It's really good, but I'm also mad at Man-Thing.
And I picked this up a couple days ago. So Man-Thing and Hulk, how can you beat that?
Right.
So any Hulk versus anything I like to read. So,
and Man-Thing would actually win that one because he's pretty much indestructible, and he would I
got a question for y'all.
Yeah.
I think about this at night. This is back to some of my dorky stuff when I'm laying and trying to sleep at night. You got Doomsday. And he just destroyed anything in his path, destruction everywhere. And he liked to jump. He couldn't fly. He just jumped. Basically, he was Incredible Hulk. Right. Incredible Hulk jumped and destroyed everything in his path. Who would win that fight? You got Incredible Hulk or Doomsday?
Hulk, because the madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. He gets infinitely strong.
Yeah, I agree with Gary. I don't think Doomsday would be able to finish it out.
So basically, you are saying Hulk could beat up Superman.
No. Yeah. Hulk could beat up
especially if Superman's not around the yellow sun.
Superman.
Yeah.
With one arm.
well,
I mean, the Hulk, man. I mean, he, come on, Secret Wars. He's like holding up half freaking mountain, man. I mean, he's just, I don't know.
I think about that a lot for some reason because they're pretty similar. So
yeah,
I'm still gonna go with Hulk.
Yeah, me too.
And how much cooler would it have been if they'd have made the death of Superman and they'd have actually did a crossover and made Hulk be the one that killed Superman instead of Doomsday?
Oh, that would have been great.
Oh my God, that would have been tough.
Or if they'd have both just killed each other like Doomsday and Hulk did, it'd been great because really Marvel or DC wouldn't have won.
But you could have did that and then had Bruce have to find a way to bring Superman back because the guilt's killing Bruce.
Right.
You could have gone real deep with it, right? The Hulk, the Rage Hulk kills Superman. Then the scientist Bruce has to deal with the guilt from that death and has to find a way to bring Superman back.
Right.
And see, DC or Marvel would both gain profit off of it, and neither character really won. They'd both been dead, so it ain't like one beat the other one. So I think it would have been a pretty awesome story.
You got Jackson saying as long as Doomsday didn't kill Hulk quickly. And you got Metarog saying you can't beat Doomsday the same way twice. I don't know. I think if you pull his head off more than once, every time he's dead.
Yeah.
But Jim, what's coming up on your channel, sir?
I just dropped a video showing a couple of my wins, like this one. Go check it out. I won this prize. This one from E-Man, one from DC Irish. He did a 100 subscriber giveaway, and I won a few books from that. And Then I have another one that I'll be shooting tomorrow of the AOK from Chris from Retro Rocket Comics. And that'll post up.
That's got to be phenomenal. He sent out some amazing AOKs. I was fortunate to be one of the recipients.
So that'll be coming up.
Incredible. Dope. What's coming up for you, sir?
Same old. Bunch of pre-code horror, a bunch of horror. Every Wednesday I've been loving it because we got a lot of modern horror to come out lately at the shop. Because anytime you get around Halloween, you get that. And I'm doing a couple of shows, Halloween shows. I'm doing one on Digger Jim's buddy's channel. What is it? I don't know. Slab Hub. What's his channel now called?
Rob. Only Slabs. Rob's Only Slabs. Yeah,
I'm going on Rob's channel on the 29th and doing a Halloween edition on his channel.
Nice.
Slab Hub or Only Slabs or whatever. And just doing as many shows as I can and talking comics with as many people who love comics as I can talk about. And that's about it.
Nice. All right. And for me, guys, tomorrow night we have another episode of the 1011. This one with Madam and Master Blaster. And we have none other than Matt Woods himself doing the co-hosting duties. And then next Tuesday we have Jean Malot. And then in the hot seat next Thursday, Jim, we have Lee from Whack Comics.
Oh.
So we'll get to dive into Lee. And then, of course, we have the Thing Watch Party.
You see that right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Madam drew that of me.
Oh, wow. I know she's quite the accomplished artist.
Yeah, ask her about that. She's drawn 2 or 3 people off YouTube. She drew that of me one day and sent it to me. So they're good people.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a fun show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
They said, look, can you do a show Friday? We'd love to be on, but I guess they have bad internet where they live. And I'm like, we can do that. I will make a show. We will make that happen.
And I will drink every time I hear Amazing Spider-Man or Todd McFarlane because he'll be talking about them 2 all the time.
Oh yeah, all right. So you'll be drunk by the end of the credits.
5 minutes in.
5 minutes in. He does like to talk about Spider-Man a lot.
Todd McFarlane and Spider-Man's 2 things he's going to talk about.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we got a stacked panel coming up. Dope kicked off a good week for us. So Dope.
I was happy to do it.
Dude, I want to thank you for coming on. I wanted to reach out to you. I'm like, oh, this dude's not going to want to come on my show. But thank you so much for coming on.
I'll come back anytime. It was fun.
All right, well, we'll have to have some kind of horror discussion at some point, like a big horror theme, and just do it up.
I've got boxes of Batman, Superman. I've got Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 100 over. I've got all that kind of stuff. So we ain't got to talk horror if you don't want to talk horror.
All right, well, we'll get you back. We'll
have Conan. We'll do some Conan. I don't care.
Right? Oh, that would be the show that never ends.
Yeah, that'd just be the 2 of you then. I'll be like, all right, I'm signing off now.
It's Jim would just pass out in his seat.
It's 2 a.m. It's not.
It's been nice meeting you too, Digger Jim. I've watched you on Legion's show quite a bit.
Yes, tomorrow night, Jackson.
I love to watch that early on Friday morning.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours long. I sit there and watch it as I work. So.
Now, what I did want to say, Jim, is not Jim. I've talked to Jim enough. No, just kidding. Dope. It was an absolute pleasure to actually meet you and talk to you, man. That was a great time.
Well, I enjoyed it. Time flew by.
Yeah, and I got to actually get you and you said it earlier, Biggie on a show together.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah, we have a good time.
I want to thank my guest. I want to thank my co-host, and I want to thank the people in the audience who made this show a lot of fun. We had a great chat going tonight. Great people in the chat. Some of my favorite people on YouTube. Thank you all so much. I absolutely love doing this show. Jim, I appreciate you co-hosting as always.
Thank you.
Dope. I hope you get some new people following your channel because you deserve it, man. You have an incredible collection, and you're a great dude. Absolute thrill and pleasure to spend time with you and talk to you, man. Really appreciate it. And guys, until next time, keep it casual. Bye. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code Keep It Casual for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.